Welcome to the Same Side Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Altman. Sales goals. Should you have them or shouldn't you? Well, I would say you should have them, but there's a mistake that a lot of people make. And the mistake is that what happens is people set goals, but they don't necessarily have a plan to achieve those goals, which means they'll set a goal that says, for example, well, I'm going to do $3 million this year. And I say, well, how are you going to do that? And they'll either say something like, well, it's easy. I'm going to do, I'm going to do $250,000 a month. Okay. And what happens is that oftentimes people don't think through the plan with enough detail, which means you're hoping to hit that goal. You're not actually set up with a plan to execute and make it happen. And more importantly, if you don't have a plan to get there, then you don't know where and when and how to make adjustments. So what I want you to instead to look at is, let's say you said, I'm going to do $3 million in sales. Great. What types of clients are going to make that up? Are you going to do 6 clients at $500,000 a piece? Is it going to be 10 clients at $300,000 a piece? It might be, look, I'm going to have 10 clients that are $200,000 clients. That gets me to $2 million. And I'm going to have 2 $500,000 clients. Whatever the number is, what you now have to think about is which industries are they going to come from? How are we going to get in front of those? Who are the potential clients or prospects in that market who will help me achieve those goals? How do I get to those people? Who do I know who has relationships with those organizations who might be able to help me achieve those goals? And wherever you end up with a dead end, it doesn't mean that you're stuck. It just means that now you got to figure out how to solve that problem in order to get to your broader goal. You might realize that, well, given where I'm at right now, I can't get there for 3 or 4 months, which means I need to sell $3 million in the last 9 months of the year. Well, now that changes things quite a bit. And we need to think about how do we get in front of the right people to make that happen. What you have to think about is, what do I need to do today to make that happen? And we start building a recipe. It's like if you're going to make a multi-course meal, you'd say, great, I'm going to do 4 courses and here's what the courses are going to be. Great. What ingredients do you need to start that? And now that I know which ingredients, where am I going to go to get those ingredients? And then do I have all the right tools in order to prepare these things the way I want to? And now once I start cooking, what sequence do I want to cook things in? And oh, by the way, the people I'm inviting, do they eat those foods? Because if they don't, that could be a waste too. And I've got to think through all these different mechanics to make sure that these opportunities are real and I can achieve those goals. Because otherwise what happens is people say, yeah, I didn't hit my number. Why not? It's the market or it's something else. And what I will tell you is that it's rarely some external force. It's often the individuals themselves. The top performers that I see, when I ask them, well, how are you going to get there? They lay out a very specific plan. They'll say, well, in order for us to get there, we need to get these 3 types of accounts initially. The way we're going to get there is we're going to go through this network and that network, this person, that person to get in at this job title within that organization. Within that job title, these people need to come to believe A, B, and C about a problem they're having that we can solve, and they need to believe X, Y, and Z about how we can solve it uniquely. From there, I believe that we can convince them that it's worth a $250,000 investment to get to this point. It's important for us to then deliver results for those, because if I get those 3 clients each at $250,000, they'll provide referenceable accounts that help me grow that market segment to $3 million a year. When you hear that type of a strategy, now you start to get to the point where you say, okay, this is real. And the top performers will also say, now, if I can't achieve this incremental goal, then I either will need to try A or B in order to get there. And if I don't achieve those, then I have to rethink whether or not this is a reasonable goal. See, they're laying out a plan to achieve their goals, and they're also building in contingencies. Contingencies that say, if I do not achieve this, here's another way I can get there. Here's another problem I can solve to try and get to that place. Too often what people say is, oh, well, marketing's not providing the right leads for me. Well, that's an excuse. It doesn't really solve anything. The top performers I see will say to me, Well, marketing wasn't providing the right types of leads. So what I did is I carved out time in my day to sit down with marketing and change some of our messaging because I believe that will attract the right clients. That's what top performers do. They build every component of the plan in a way that actually can be executed, and they can measure results along the way to make adjustments. And that's something that you can do also. So next time you set a goal, and it can be a big, hairy, audacious goal, if you like to call it that, as soon as you do, break it down into pieces and work backwards from that goal and say, okay, if I'm trying to hit $3 million, that means so much per quarter. In order to hit that goal, it's going to be this mix of clients. In order to get that mix of clients, here's the industry I need to go after. To get that number of clients in that industry, here are the type of clients I need to attract. Here's how I'm going to get into those types of opportunities. Here's the messaging that we need in order to support that. Here's what we need along the sales process, and we map out each step along the way. And I'm convinced that if you do it that way, like the other top performers I work with, you will achieve remarkable success too. So don't set a goal, define a plan. Stick to the plan and be willing to identify areas where you can adjust and adapt the plan to achieve your goals, and you'll have remarkable success. If there are topics you'd like me to cover, just drop me a note to ian@ianaltman.com. I'll see you on the next Same Side Selling podcast. So long.